Today is March 23, Ukraine Media Center informs starts its operation. My name is Vasil Samakhvalov, and we start our day today with our first guest, the military governor of Donetsk region, Pavlo Kyrylenko. Good morning, Mr. Pavlo. Good morning. The first question is about the event that caused the hysteria of Russian propagandists is the visit of President Zelensky to Donetsk region. Can you share any interesting facts, any information that nobody still knows about? How has it happened? Well, obviously we know what's going on in the region, what visits, how are they prepared, and what will be the main topic of the visit. Just like a visit of the commander-in-chief, I always, in a constructive manner, they're always happening in a constructive manner, very clear and with very clear results. Everybody has seen the spots, the places visited by the President Zelensky, so except for the meeting, except my report about the state of affairs in the region, the hottest region in Ukraine for the time being, we brought up some key issues, the solution of which in future will assist to the more expedited the occupation of the region and our joint victory. I want to thank from the bottom of my heart to Mr. President, and during a personal conversation, during my report, all the issues that were brought up were related to the critical infrastructure, relocated of the critical infrastructure facilities from the occupied territories, temporarily occupied territories, and efficient resolution of those issues. I'll be honest that meeting did not only consist of my report and informing about the problems, but in a way that I always set up my work, the list of actions to be taken for the prompt solution of the issues arisen. So we communicated to all the participants during meetings, and everybody got their tasks for the short-term period, and my work is to continue to efficiently communicate and exercise my functions in this area. In the same way, President Zelensky had an opportunity to see how is the joint work organized between the military and the civil in different areas, including medicine, and obviously it's a very motivating part, such as life in the regions. For it's motivating for those who are defending the region and will further on liberate the region from the occupiers. Thank you for this report. There was an information today that the offensive of the Russians under Vuhledar had stopped, and they're suffocating under Bakhmut, so they're concentrating near Avdiivka and Mariinka. So how true is that? Yes, there is some intensification of their actions near Avdiivka and Mariinka. I always mention them in my reports. They are to one way or another. There is some similarity in actions of the enemy. They're trying to make a way around a settlement. For example, in case of Bakhmut, they're trying to make a way around Bakhmut from the north and from the south. They try to advance it and to achieve the level of the operational surrounding. They cannot still fulfill their plans during month and month. Well, they started intense actions since summer 2022 near Avdiivka, and the same story is with Bakhmut. They started their first actions there in that area in the summer 2022, so they try to pull reserves to both directions, and those plans of the enemy are understood by our military command, and our president personally controls this matter. And that was one of the priority subjects during our meeting. So I want to mention again that the military command clearly understands what is the situation around these two hottest areas in the Donetsk region. We have questions on the floor. Please. Good morning, Irina Momchur, Ukrinform. I have a couple of questions. Can you please tell us, around a month ago, there was information that in each region there is a list of people communicated who will be enlisted as the offensive guard. Did the Donetsk region already finish the creation of the units of the offensive guard? Well, yes, Donetsk region. In the Donetsk region, the necessary number of people was already communicated, but the work, I cannot give you the exact figures, but the work is underway. Currently, it's about 30% completed. The enlistment will be expedited, but in the same way, the questions that were communicated regarding the offensive guard in the Donetsk region, everybody understands the specificities of the region and the minimal amount of people who should not only be mobilized, but to have those people also motivated, or more motivated, so to say. This is why Donetsk is obviously no exception. We continue doing our job in that direction. With regard to the offensive guard, we communicated the information through all necessary information sources. Everybody knows where the enlistment process is taking place, where to submit documents, where they undergo the initial interviews with the participants of the offensive guard. So the work is, the process is arranged. Well, thank you. Another question is that we were told that the Wagner units and the regular army of the occupiers, they are exhausted under Bakhmut. So is there any civil population in that area? Is anybody still remaining there, or the evacuation is completed there? Did the mandatory evacuation of the children already happen? So are there any civilians still left in Bakhmut and surrounding areas? Well, as of 24 February 2022, there were around 84,000 people living in Bakhmut. According to our calculations, for the time being, well, it's difficult to say exactly, because sometimes the people can stay in the temporarily occupied territories, but according to our calculations, it's less than 3,500 people who are still in Bakhmut. They are those people who don't want to leave the city absolutely. We fulfilled a tremendous amount of work related to their evacuation there, but people absolutely refuse to leave. We keep communicating to the people. The national police keeps and the units of the state emergency service keep communicating with those people on a regular basis, but people refuse to leave and at all. As to the children, there are children in foster, the children who were staying in the foster homes, they were around 12,000 in total in the region. They were all evacuated. Currently, there are 32 children who stay in Bakhmut together with their parents. Those who refuse to leave, So they are still staying there in the they keep staying in the shelters. I know that even in those terrible conditions, they are provided with all the food products, water, medicines, to more than sufficient extent, but their parents, they keep hiding and they refuse to leave. This is why the resolution was amended as to the mandatory evacuation, and so that those people could stay, but still we continue working with those people in Bakhmut and the surrounding areas. For example, in the neighboring city of Chasivka, all the people were evacuated, even without their desire to do so, but we fulfilled that evacuation in a legal manner for 100%. Thank you. And during the press conference in Kramatorsk, you mentioned that there should a project of clearing of coal mine waters should be fulfilled, should be completed, should have been completed in Donetsk region by the end of March. So in what phase is the project at the moment? Well, thank you. Thank you, and thank you for keeping track of this, because we have to bear responsibility for our wars. We have to understand that if this process was initiated, it should have been completed. So we already have premises to locate it. There is still an issue with the equipment, but the equipment is about to arrive shortly. We all understand that there are some reasonable delays because the equipment is coming from abroad. So what was said, this filtration will be for the center of the region, not only, for example, for the city of Pokrovsk, where we use some revolver method, where when water is being fed and accumulated in their reservoirs. Also, there is a work underway for drilling of the deep wells in the neighboring communities. So it's an additional source. I can tell you in detail about that. Please don't accept my words as provocation that I try to conceal something, but I cannot disclose all the information. In such a region which is poor in water as Donetsk region, we drill the wells at least 120 meters deep. So it's a good quality water, and during a warm spring like this, I will report and I will show you how the clearance station works and how the new wells are being added to this process, the new wells that we are about to open shortly. So given the delays of the equipment, everything goes according to the plan because we admit some errors, so the process is underway. And the last question, today there were news about the launch of a new train on the route from Lviv to Kramatorsk, which evidences the necessity for passenger exchange. So what's your evaluation of the situation in the area beyond the front lines, for example, peaceful Pokrovsk? Well, peaceful Pokrovsk, if we see how things happen, well, there is obviously a request from the society and from the civilians, but we also have military, and the military you use the railway quite actively. So we are almost through the heating season, that season that I had way more pessimistic forecast about. So I think that we went through it with using our joint effort with dignity and resilience. Well, and the city of Pokrovsk is good evidence of it. The number of population increased there. So the further we are from the front lines, in the winter period, when people have seen the stable operation of the alternative power sources, the heat supply, the stable heat supply, stable water supply, and thanks to the operation of the wells and another water sources, it gave people the opportunity to understand that their utility needs are covered and people can live there, and the number of population started growing. More than 500,000 people was added to the population of Donetsk region. So the trains start operating. We observe the number of people traveling and the category of people using that type of transport. So there is really a need for such transport connection. And as to the security, I keep reiterating, the war in Donetsk region has not started on the 24th of February 2022, but back then, since then, no person, no representative of the law enforcement or of the government or the central or local government is incapable of making any guarantee in terms of security in any part of the Donetsk region, because the enemy keeps using all types of weapons, using cruise missiles, MLRS, regular artillery, mortars, tanks, everything to strike our territory, but the life still goes on, and all the sectors of the Donetsk region are supplied with the all infrastructure services, and we hold on thanks to the cooperation with our armed forces. Thank you very much. Joining us was the military governor of Donetsk region, Pavlo Kyrylenko. He told us about the situation in that region. Our next briefing is at 12 o'clock. We will tell with the National Police of Ukraine about the launch of the mobile application which assists to the search for the lost kids. Thank you. See you shortly.